Welcome to this week's episode of Successful AF, the podcast for people who've ticked all the boxes, climbed all the ladders, and still feel like success is a million miles away. Today, I'm joined by Charlotte de Wouter, and I couldn't be more excited to share her story with you. Charlotte and I met during our 300-hour yoga teacher training in India, and she's actually the third person from that incredible group to join me on this podcast. What makes Charlotte's story so compelling is her complete transformation from high-stress lawyer to full-time yoga teacher and breathwork facilitator, living her purpose in Indonesia. For 6 years, Charlotte was trapped in the classic cycle, working weekends, working nights, constantly stressed, and despite being a self-described perfectionist, never feeling truly successful. She was helping others as a family lawyer, but while she was fighting battles in courtrooms, she was also battling her own inner turmoil. The turning point came when she turned 30, when Charlotte has what she calls a complete freak out moment, realizing she could see exactly how the rest of her life would unfold if she stayed on that path, and she decided absolutely not. What I love about Charlotte is her unwavering commitment to alignment. When something doesn't feel right, she walks away. When something lights her up, she's all in. She's someone who truly understands that success isn't about pleasing everyone else. It's about waking up excited for your day every single day. We dive deep into the fear of judgment, the challenge of disappointing family, and that beautiful moment when her dad finally understood her path. Plus, Charlotte shares some profound insights about energy management and why sometimes the universe really does conspire to help you when you're living from your heart. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome to the podcast, Charlotte. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm beyond grateful for the invite and to see you again.
It's so good to see. Honestly, it's so good to see you. Well, actually, we should probably tell people how we met. So we met in India. You're actually the third person I've had on from our yoga teacher training. That was just such a special group of individuals. Thank you for coming on. Let's start at the beginning. Tell us your story.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I never know where to begin.
Start at the beginning. Yeah.
Okay, I a yoga teacher, full-time yoga teacher and breathwork facilitator, but I wasn't always like I have not always been like this. In another life, I was working as a lawyer. So I did that for about 6 years. I was working so hard all the time. I had a lot of pressure and I was dealing with high stress from my job. I was always running from one place to another, going to hearings every day, preparing all the cases, and yeah, you know how it goes. You're just like, yeah, you're dealing with so much things at the same time,
Mm.
and when you are a bit of a perfectionist, you just want to do your job the best you can. And yeah, this was driving me crazy at some point because I couldn't stop working. I was working on weekends, I was working at nights, and I was very stressed, and this stress was very affecting my personality, my relationships with others. And what did really help me at the time was to practice yoga. Because it was a way for me to reconnect with myself, with my body, with my breath. And since I was always in my head, overthinking all the time, thinking about my to-do list, thinking about all of my cases, then whenever I entered into the yoga studio, it was really a sacred time for me to reconnect, to be just in the present moment. And it was such a relief to finally let go of all of this overthinking and to reconnect with myself and yeah, with my breath, my body, to be more present. And it did really change me. I managed to be more calm and to deal with my stress better. And so, yeah, yoga did really, really help me at the time. And I became so addicted to the great effects of a regular yoga practice that it suddenly became super clear that I also wanted to be able to share this powerful tool with others. So I decided to become a yoga teacher myself. So in 2022, I flew to Indonesia to do my first 200 hours yoga teacher training. And I started teaching straight away, and I absolutely loved it. Yeah, it was really yeah, so aligned
Mm.
with me, and so I was feeling like I finally was at the right place, doing the right thing, you know. I started teaching in different places, in different countries, first in Australia, then in Sri Lanka. And then after this, I went back home because at that time I was on a career break just for 6 months. So I had a deadline to go back to work, and it was impossible for me to go back to the previous version of me, you know, doing my job as a lawyer. And I tried for a couple of months, but then I decided to quit and to keep on teaching yoga. So I went to Nicaragua, and I was teaching there for a couple of months. Then I went to India where we met, did my 300 hours teacher training with you, and then spent some time teaching in India. And then I flew to Indonesia again to teach there. And yeah, and I never left. I really found my place and my perfect setting for teaching, and yeah, the right balance also. I'm now still living in Indonesia, still teaching yoga. I've added breathwork as well, so I trained as a breathwork facilitator about 6 months ago. And yeah, it's been super, super, super nice. I'm so grateful for how things are unfolding and for living from my passion.
Amazing. This might have been 6 months ago now. You posted something on Instagram and you said, it wasn't until I turned 30 that I truly started living. And you are someone who just fully commits to living, like fully living. And I think so few people do that. And it's incredibly inspirational. I'm sure it's not been easy. Like, you've kind of said that, "Oh, I went here and I taught here." Like, I'm sure you've had some real challenges along the way, and we'll get into that. But you just commit to, this is my purpose, this is what I'm doing, and you like have that alignment with what you're doing. And if it doesn't align, you walk away. And I think that is incredibly brave.
Thank you, Jess. And it's so funny that you mentioned the fact that it was when I turned 30 that I had this clicked in that everything changed, because yeah, for me it was really like a turning point.
Mm.
I could see how the rest of my life was gonna be if I would have stayed in Belgium doing what I was used to do. I was like, oh no, 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 I freaked out. I was
Yeah.
like, no, I'm turning 30. I really want to chase my dreams. I don't want to die one day having regrets. So it became really my motto. I really became so dedicated in chasing my dreams. And yeah, like you said, it was a big commitment for me to go after this, even if, of course, it came with challenges, even if it was completely new for me.
Mm.
I was like, okay, I know what I don't want anymore, and I'm not gonna settle for that just because it feels easier, just because it's safer. No, 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 that's not what I want anymore. So I really choose for myself to go the other way and to chase my dreams and to follow another path, even if it was completely unknown, completely new for me. And I think, yeah, the fact of turning 30 years old really was a turning point for me.
Mm. So I think one of the most important things we can do in life is choose. So I had
Mhm.
a really long conversation with a very good friend about this the other day, and I think many of us don't like the I don't know if it's the understanding or like the realization that we actually get to choose our lives, right? And sometimes you don't like what's on the other side of that choice, and so it's like, oh, well, like I can't. Well, no, you can, but you don't want to do the other thing. And like some people, absolutely, like if we look at like privilege and stuff, people have less choice, more choice, whatever, but everyone has a choice. And I think there's huge power in that, but I think there's also huge fear behind it when people are like, oh, it's my responsibility to design my life. And
Mhm.
there are very few people who are willing to take responsibility and just own their lives and take those choices that are difficult, that are hard, but ultimately lead to where you are, which is living your purpose.
Exactly. I completely agree. And I think that's something we've been taught, maybe growing up, that life has to be a certain way. It has
Yeah.
to be hard working, and then you can earn a little bit of free time if
Yeah.
you've worked hard enough. And
Yeah.
I was also raised this way, and I cannot blame anyone because that's how, for example, our parents, that's also how they've been raised, that everything around work, working hard, and earning a lot of money in order to be comfortable, in order to be safe, in order to do some great things sometimes in their free time. But first of all, you have to be safe. And yeah, whenever I talk about it with my dad, he's also very much like this. I can feel it. So it's really hard to change perspective and yeah, to just drop everything you've been taught since years and years and years to think differently. So that might be the reason why a lot of people have a hard time, yeah, opening up to freedom, I would say.
Mm. I
And
love
because,
that.
yeah, something inside of them is telling them that they have no choice. They have to work hard to make it work. They have to suffer. Sometimes it's
Mm.
related to suffering, to being unhappy, complaining, because it has to be this way because they've been taught or they've seen this for their whole life. So for them, it's what's normal. And choosing would be, like you said, too scary, maybe. So yeah, it's like we said earlier, it's always easier to stay in what's comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. You've actually just reminded me of this parable. I heard it quite recently. It's become one of my favorite things about have you heard this, the businessman and the fisherman? And basically, the businessman is on holiday and he's walking down a beach. I don't know why it'd be a man, it could be a business person, but whatever. We'll go with the original parable. And he sees a fisherman who's just brought in his catch and he starts talking to him and he says, oh, how much do you catch a day? And he goes, well, I go out every morning and I catch enough to feed my family and I catch a little bit to sell. And then I go and spend the rest of the day with my wife and my children. And the businessman says, well, you could use the money that you make from buying the fish to buy more boats, to buy a fleet of boats. You could be super successful. You could be rich. You could really scale this business. And then the fisherman says, but what would I do? What would I do if I had all this money? He said, well, then you could go and spend time with your wife and your children. And the fisherman's like, but I do that anyway. Like I've cut out the struggle. I don't need the struggle.
Mhm.
And the businessman's like, it's almost like he can't comprehend, but he's like, but you have to do the thing to get to the freedom. And the fisherman's like, but I've already got the freedom. And it's exactly that, like this programming of you must struggle, you must achieve, you must succeed, whatever that means. We'll get to that. To then be allowed to rest, to be allowed to have fun and the freedom and the play. But actually, there is a totally different way to do it. And I think that's what we, particularly in the West, are so programmed to be like, must work, must self-flagellate in order to prove myself to whom I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But I also have the feeling that it's a generation thing.
Mm.
Maybe our generation is starting to think differently, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think more and more of us are kind of waking up and going, hang on, I don't have to do it this way. And I think the generation under us
Yeah, oh my
has
God.
like, they are so awake. They're like, cool, I'm going to do it my own way. Like, it's
Fun.
just, yeah.
Lucky them.
Yeah, they're just like, no, 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 I'm not going to do it that way. Like, I remember, like, I actually interviewed my sister for this, and she's 10 years younger than me. And she's a photographer. And I remember when she was growing up, I was like, you've got to get experience of working in an office. And she was like, why? I'm never going to work in an office. And I was like, yeah, but like, what if you need to? And she was like, no, I'm never going to do that. And I was like, huh. This is fascinating. What? Like, what do you mean? She's like, no, I'm never going to work in an office. And I was like, okay, this is unique.
Yeah,
What does success mean to you?
that's a beautiful question. To me, it means being aligned with
Mm,
what you're doing, something meaningful for you. It can be anything, but something meaningful. Yeah, to me, success is a really personal thing. It can really be so different from one person to another, as long as one is fulfilled with what they are doing. To me, this person is successful. Yeah, and how to know when you're aligned? Yeah, you just know. You just know. I've really experienced it. So I've been, like I was telling you, I've been working as a lawyer for quite a long time, and I was waking up every day with this stress in my stomach, being not excited about my day at all, being waiting for weekends, for days off. And so I knew inside of me that this was not fulfilling me compared to how I feel now. When I wake up every morning, I'm so excited. I could do what I do all day long. No need vacation, no need some breaks. I'm just, yeah, super driven by what I'm doing. And I feel that I've really found my purpose. It's not only fulfilling me, but it's also bringing something to others. That's what I've heard from others, helping them. And so I feel like I'm contributing to yeah, something beyond than just myself, something
mm,
greater. I'm having an impact. And so it's like a beautiful exchange of energy. And yeah, I feel really aligned when I'm doing what I do. So I would say, yeah, success for me is finding your purpose, feeling aligned, and also waking up in the morning, being so excited, no matter the results, no matter the income you are making. For me, it's more about how you feel, how the others around you are feeling. For me, that's being successful, yeah.
I love that. That's so beautiful. You talked about service there, being of service to others. Do you think that plays into the feeling of success that you have, knowing that you are, as you said, contributing to the people around you?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Do you remember when we did the Ikigai
Oh my gosh,
together?
yes. So, yeah, I had a coaching session with Charlotte. I loved it. And we did the
Me too.
Japanese philosophy of Ikigai. I think about that a lot, still.
Yeah. So, yeah, according to me, being successful can be seen as embodying your own ikigai. And yeah, ikigai brings together the things you are good at, so all of your competence, all of your skills, and then the things that you can bring to others. So that's where you have this, like you said, exchange, connection with others, and then the things that bringing something to the world in general. To me, it's definitely related to the others, but that's just my personal opinion. For some people, maybe it would be something just related to them, as long as they feel fulfilled with what they are doing. I mean, yeah, it's great, but to me, I couldn't see myself being so happy doing something just for me. It needs to be
Mm,
related to others, because we live in community, and there is nothing more fulfilling than this exchange to others. All of these connections are so powerful, and yeah, I think that's a reason why we are all together in this. We need
mm.
to help each other to grow. We need to uplift each other. But that's, yeah, just my personal opinion about it.
I love that though. And I actually think that's where we often go wrong with success. We don't define it for ourselves. I
Okay.
think we rely on external opinions or other people's definition of success. And that's where then I personally believe you start to see burnout because you're chasing something that doesn't align, to your point, with what you want. It's just what you're told you should want. And then you're like hustling for something that just doesn't feel right. And then you start to get this. For me, anyway, it was like anxiety. And I actually ended up with depression because I was just like chasing, chasing, chasing. I was chasing a promotion. And I just was like, is this really what I want? It's actually where we come back and go, actually, what is success to me? And that might change on a daily basis, but it's that sort of defining it for ourselves that I think is absolutely paramount.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you are in this mindset of following something just to please others,
Mm.
you can never be completely aligned, according to me, because you're just trying to please everyone around you and you're wearing a mask. And of course, it's easy because the others' expectations are very clear to you.
Hmm.
Generally, yeah, they would tell you what they are expecting from you, and so it's easy. For example, what your boss is expecting from you, for what your parents are expecting from you, what, it's very good to be just this, oh, good girl, yeah, just behaving like everybody would expect you to behave, and then you get this kind of reward because everyone is liking you, but you're forgetting one very important person, it's yourself. And of course, it's scary. I was thinking about it preparing the podcast because when you're trying to please everyone, you have this very clear list of expectations to feel, right? You know how to behave because it's clear you have this roadmap. But when you start living for yourself, you don't have this roadmap anymore. You have to figure it out by yourself. Like, how do I want to live just for myself? So it's scary. And again, it's the coming back to the fear of the unknown. You have no idea, and like you said, you're just like, oh, what do I want to do just for me? Like, how do I behave if it's just for me? It can be scary for sure because you don't have a clear list of how to do. But it's definitely worth giving it a try because otherwise you can spend your whole life just not being truly yourself.
100%. I'm so glad you said that actually, because I definitely recently have been feeling like I've stepped off the roadmap and now I feel a bit lost. And actually, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
probably the
It's good.
best feeling. But to your point earlier, like I'm definitely a recovering perfectionist. So I'm like, no, I want a plan and I want to know that on Monday I'm going to be building this and on Wednesday I'm going to be doing this. And so letting go of that. And I'm still in the process of shedding that skin. Like I'm
Yeah.
not there yet, but it's terrifying. Tell me how your version of success has changed throughout your life.
So when I was studying and then working as a lawyer, my definition of success was to be really involved in this career as a lawyer,
Mm.
to just invest more and more energy into that and to become a great known lawyer. I wanted to earn more money. I wanted to raise
Climb the
more.
ladder?
Yes, exactly. To have more responsibility and the
Mm.
classical way. And at some point, I was like, okay, but if I'm doing this, it means that I'm going to be so exhausted all the time, so stressed all the time. And my physical body was telling me that's not a good way. And also, my mind was going crazy all the time. I was so stressed, never fully satisfied actually.
Mm.
I was very frustrated and I could see it physically, and yeah, also never have some rest. So I was overthinking all the time. So I was chasing something that was not really bringing me peace, I would say. You
Mm.
always want more when you are in this
Yeah.
cycle of chasing more, 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 more. But what for? If it's not, if it's making you crazy and if it's also affecting your physical health, your mental health, then really what for? What's the price? It was like almost like I was jeopardizing my own well-being for chasing something that I was not even really believing in, something I was told to do because it's the right way, because we were raised like this, and it was, yeah, not really my choice
Mm.
to,
Yeah.
to work this hard. So yeah, at some point I switched, and that's how I decided to become a yoga teacher. And yeah, my definition of success definitely changed at that time when I did my career switch. And I I started from this moment, I started to see my own well-being as my first priority. I think you can relate to that. When
Yes.
you burn out, you have no other choice than making your own well-being as a priority. It's like your body is telling you, you have to do this, we won't survive otherwise. So you have to finally start looking at yourself. And of course, like we said earlier, it can be scary because you don't know at the beginning. You've never been used to looking at what you need, what you like, what is good for you. But then when you start doing this, you realize how great it is to finally do things that are good for you, for your health, for your well-being. And then you are able to also expand and to share this with others. And yeah, that's how it changed to me, because you cannot really serve others if you are not really great with yourself at first. And when I was working as a lawyer, I was working in family law. So my first motivation has always been to help others. So I really wanted to be working with individuals and to get to know their story and to help them with family matters. But I think at that time, because I was not feeling good myself, I was so stressed and I couldn't really help the others in the best way. So it was more like a bit of my ego, maybe trying to help them and to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna win this case. And it was always also, yeah, you know how it goes with the proceedings. When you go in front of the judge, you just fight. And it was this way of helping others, which was not very aligned with what I would have done if I was really good with myself, and then serve others being good with myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I think it's a very interesting observation that sort of you've gone from like helping others by fighting in that real like combative scenario to helping others really in an incredibly peaceful way. And you said it earlier, I think most of us are just searching for peace. And actually you've brought that in, and not only have you found it for yourself, you're helping other people find it too.
Trying to, yeah.
I really love that. The other thing I just want to talk about is you said at the beginning there, you said you chose to invest your energy. And I think very few of us are aware or make conscious choices of how we invest our energy, invest our time. I saw a quote from Taylor Swift this morning about
Oh,
like, yeah,
good
literally,
philosopher.
yeah, exactly, great, exactly. The importance of investing your energy like it is a luxury item. And I think it's so true because there is a finite amount of energy. And I definitely think since as I've got older, I find that more and more like my energy it's so precious.
Yeah,
And we're often told you've got to invest money, you've got to build. But actually, if you're not investing your energy in the right places, it doesn't matter how much money you've got. If you're not healthy, if you're not well, what's the point? You can have all the money in the world, but it's not going to make any difference.
definitely. Yeah, it's in the yogic philosophy, it's brahmacharya, the wise use of energy. It's so important. And when you look, for example, when you go to bed and you just think about your day, you can really see what was like you can really do this feedback and
Yeah.
check, okay, I spent so much energy doing this. Was it really exhausting me, or was it bringing me more energy? It's so obvious that some things you do are just taking energy away from you. It's really draining, and you spend so much time and energy doing things that, again, are not aligned with yourself and not meaningful to you. But on the other hand, sometimes you're just doing things that you love and it's bringing you energy in return. So I think it's such a good measure to see a little bit what is fulfilling you when you are searching for your purpose. It's really good to look back and to see, okay, during one day, what do I do that is giving me energy? What do I do that is taking energy away from me? And so you can choose, but because again, it's a choice to spend your energy in things that are really fulfilling for you and bringing energy. And this goes for the people you surround yourself with as well, right? If you spend your time with people who are taking energy away from you and you come back home being so exhausted because you just don't align with those people, then it might be a sign that you need to change your close circle. I mean, you cannot always choose, of course. I think it's important to really have a close look at how you are spending your energy and who you are spending most of your time with.
Completely agree.
Mm.
And yeah, you're right. You can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. And you can also choose who you spend the
Yeah.
majority of your time with. Like that is a choice. It's the whole, have you heard the term energy vampires? Like people who just
Yeah.
suck their energy from you. And you can feel it when you're talking to one of those people. You're just like, oh God. And but also sometimes you can show up as an energy vampire. Like I know myself, like when I'm like not in the right mood to socialize or if I'm feeling a
Mm.
bit stressed, actually the best thing for me to do in that situation would be to be like, I'm not coming, rather than be like, I've turned
Yeah.
up and I'm like, ah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah," you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you were being super self-aware of your energy level. And even during the training when we met, sometimes you would just say, okay, I need some time for myself, just be with my own energy to recharge. And yeah, I was always very admirative of you for doing that, because not a lot of people are doing that. Sometimes they would just keep going and then not really enjoying this time. And time is also the most precious things we have in life. I
100%.
don't know how much time we have. How would you just waste your time like this?
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense to me. It's we just have to really worth every single minute we have to make the most of it and not waste time like this, like it's endless, you know.
completely agree. They say that on average you get 4,000 weeks on the planet, which actually is not that much. So if that's all you're getting, and that's generous, that's about 80 years old. So some people don't even get that. So as you say, I completely agree. Time is the most precious commodity. And if you're just like throwing it away, for what?
Yeah.
What challenges have you had to overcome?
One of my biggest challenges was the fear of being judged,
Mm,
by others. Yeah, because it's not an easy decision to switch career like this. It's pretty unconventional. And when you're used to please all the people around you, of course, it's just so scary to to just think about what they will think of you doing that. So that was my biggest fear at some point, the fear of being judged by others. And again, this is related to the people pleaser in me
yeah.
that I was, being so scared of people not liking me anymore, not being there to be like exactly how they wanted me to be. And suddenly I was scared that they might not like me anymore. Yeah, so this was one of my biggest challenges. And I would say another one is the fear of the unknown. And we
Mm,
also talked about it, but to me it was very, very very scary. It was a big challenge to overcome for sure. And I'm so grateful that I've had some help. So I did a coaching, when I did this career switch to help me overcome these fears. because otherwise I would have been still paralyzed, I
Yeah.
think I would. So I think it's so great to have someone by your side when you're thinking about doing such a big change in your life, and when you're just unsure. Sometimes all of those fears, they can take over, but when you have someone by your side, it can really help you. So yeah, what you're doing is so important for people who want to change their lives. I think it's such an added value to have someone helping you when you're doing this kind of transformation.
So obviously you did make the switch, you were brave, you did it. Did you find people like your friends or even family walked away from you, or were you surprised that actually they were very supportive? Because I imagine that some people probably would have maybe been a bit jealous that you had the bravery to do it and found that quite confronting. I'm curious to
That's
know like how
right.
that actually went down.
Yeah, that's right. So all of my friends were very supportive. But again, I think that's because I became aware before that, because before making the switch, I became aware of who my true friends were.
Mm.
Also, yeah, I became aware of the vampires. So I just, so yeah, at some point you can't ignore that anymore. And even if
Yeah.
it's a long time friendship, you have to cut ties, and it's for the best. So I did that already. And all of my friends, they were super supportive to me. So I think I choose to be surrounded by the ones who are going to support me in that journey. And I'm so, so grateful that I've had this support. It really meant so much. And then, yeah, the hardest for me was my family.
Mm.
Yeah, because they, again, that's another generation.
Mm.
And I really felt like I know it's completely irrational, like something I can't explain. It's just made up, but I was really feeling like I was betraying them.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, because of course they've always supported me during my studies and also in my career as a lawyer. They've been the best support. They were so proud of me being a lawyer, and when I had to tell them that I didn't want it to be a lawyer anymore, I could feel like the disappointment.
Mm.
It was not easy for my parents, for sure, and they didn't really get it. But again, it really helped me at that time to have this coach next to me, because otherwise it's just so violent
Yeah, yeah,
that you
yeah.
can just be like, oh, okay, then it's not a good idea. And also knowing, like you were saying, that all of their advice or recommendation is just pure projections of their own fears.
Yeah, 100%.
And to know that, you have to be, yeah, very aware of this mechanism, because otherwise you're just
Yeah.
stuck in the mechanism, so you don't really realize. And yeah, because I've had the support of a third person, then I was really able to see all of the projections going on, and I was able to see that they were actually projecting their own fears on me, and their own frustrations, because maybe they wouldn't allow themselves to chase their own dreams. And so seeing me doing that, it was like, wow, super, super hard for them. And then they were just telling me like, oh, but how are you gonna do financially? How are you gonna start a new career now? There are so many yoga teachers, and you won't be able to make it as a yoga teacher, or you've been studying so hard to become a lawyer. Why are you dropping it like this, like from one day to another? It's not reasonable, blah blah blah. And yeah, it's I think it was the most challenging time for me. And I was so lucky that I was super self-aware of all these mechanisms going on. And I decided that I was not going to try to explain myself too much, but I was going to show them, just show them. So Of course, at the beginning, the first thing you want to do is try to explain yourself, to justify,
Mm,
and to blah blah blah. But they don't get it.
mm.
Because it's totally different from what they've been taught, from what they learned. So they don't get it. So it doesn't. It's not really helping to try to explain yourself. So I think you just gotta do what you gotta do. You just have to show them. And yeah, they now it's been almost 3 years, and they finally clicked. They finally understood. Like, I've had such a great time with my dad. I did a breath work for him,
No way.
and he said to me, it was such a beautiful moment. He said to me, okay, I finally understand. Now, after 3 years, he said, oh, Charlotte, I understand. I'm like, wow, took so long. But yes, I think that's the best thing you can do when people are not fully supporting you, and especially people like your parents. Of course, their opinion is really, really important. But if it's stopping you, then again, you are sacrificing yourself to please others' expectations. So all you have to do is just to keep going, and at some point they will understand. You just have to believe that they will see by themselves, just seeing the results, seeing you being just super super aligned with what you're doing. They will see it. Yeah.
I really love that. I love what you said about showing them rather than trying to explain. And I think that's something that's really important, but quite like undervalued. And just, because you said there, like, they didn't understand, like, you could have been talking a totally different language, like, because they're just like, but this makes no sense. And like, they obviously have their own values and they want to make sure you're happy and that you're safe and da 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 da. And they're like, but this isn't safe. But actually just being able to show them and then like to take your dad on that breath work. Oh my God, what a beautiful way to bring it back round.
Exactly. But that's also, I'm not blaming them
No.
because I'm not a parent myself. But I guess that as a parent, you have to, your main task is to make sure that, your kid is going,
Yeah, of course.
and that your kid is safe, is able to support themselves, like financially and everything. And so maybe as a parent they were like, okay, we want to offer Charlotte the best education possible in order for her to be to choose a career and
Mm.
to be fulfilled in this career. So maybe me telling them that I wanted to switch career was super hard for them to hear, because they were like, oh, but we've invested so much, yeah, energy being supportive in
Yeah, of course.
the previous career. And that's also, yeah, bringing them back to their own role as parents. And maybe it was for them, it was a bit like they were not great as parents, bringing me yeah,
Yeah, no, I get that. It's almost like they feel like you're going, oh, actually, like this wasn't what I wanted, and but it wasn't that at all. It's just about, I think there's a really interesting dynamic where a child becomes an adult. There's almost like this like point at which you become your own person, and then you also see your parents as people as opposed to parents. And there's almost like a need to then everyone has to like relearn the dynamic and sort of go, oh, okay, like so this is who we are now, and like we're all adults and we all have our own opinions, and they might not be the same opinions, but we can still love and respect each other regardless. But it sort of takes a little while for that
yeah,
dust to settle.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's so true.
What advice would you give your younger self?
Mm, to trust.
Hmm.
Yeah, because my younger self would want to control everything, because she would want to be perfect. We were saying earlier, to plan and to, yeah, to be in control. But actually, when you're aligned and when you're really taking that leap in order to chase your dreams, You can't control anything. It's impossible. It's the unknown, complete unknown. So all you have to do is trust. And when you start trusting and when you are in the right place, when you really do something that you love and you're doing with your heart, then things start to unfold like this. It's almost like magic. I think it's also related to the energetics. Because when you're doing this from your heart, then you're sending a certain vibration to the universe, and then the universe is always responding to the vibration you're sending. And so I'm not lying saying that, but it's almost like something magic happened. As soon as I decided to become a yoga teacher and to get more and more involved in this path, I've never struggled. Jess, it's crazy. Of course, I've had obstacles for sure. I've had challenging times, but not struggles. It was aligned, everything flowed. I've never had to search for an opportunity to teach. I've been offered opportunities here and there. Of course, I was searching for it, but again, I was teaching with all my heart and hoping with all my heart that I would find something, and then opportunities came to me like this. So yeah, when you really do something you love, you can trust because things will unfold for you. It's gonna happen for sure. When you let go, when you don't try to plan everything out, when you trust and you know that you're doing something you love, it's gonna unfold almost magically. Yes. Just to tell you a little bit of an example that I always find funny, I've also started to assist for YTTs, so yoga teacher trainings, right? So I'm now helping people to become yoga teachers themselves. And this opportunity came to me like this, like at some point so it was right after our training in India. I was practicing for myself, and during the practice I've had a little gut feeling that I needed to reach out to the director of the school I did my first 200 hours teacher training with. So I've just dropped her a message saying, hey, I'm now a 500-hour certified yoga teacher, and I would love to start assisting for yoga teacher trainings to help people becoming yoga teachers themselves. Without any expectation, just dropping this message. And she replied saying like, oh, Charlotte, I've got your gig. We have a training going next month in Bali with a teacher, and everything was so aligned. Like I was supposed to be in Bali at the exact same time. So I was like, yeah, I'm already going to be there. The teacher I was going to assist was my teacher from Brussels I used to practice with.
No way.
Everything was just like, okay, it makes so much sense, and yes, let's go. And it's just like this, just it's hard to believe when you're super in the mindset of planning everything. You just don't want to hear those things. Don't plan and trust. I know. But it's actually how it works. So
Yeah.
just try it by yourself and you will see.
I love that so much. Yeah, just you're right. It's a really hard thing to do, but I think it's something we need to remind ourselves of every single day. And also to find the space to let those gut instincts come up. Because I think when you're super busy, like whether it's rushing around to work, or I feel like we're always plugged into something, like whether it's on your phone or listening to something or watching TV, we're always plugged in and
Mm,
very rarely plugged into ourselves
sure.
and
Get
making that
distracted.
space. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I imagine this will be a similar answer, but let's see. What permission do you want to give others through your story?
Yeah, it's the same. Just to tune in.
Hmm.
Like you were saying, it's super easy to get distracted, but when you are, and it's easier also to get the answers from outside,
Yeah.
asking advice. It's never gonna help you to ask advice. It's just gonna get you more confused, right?
Yeah.
So just tuning in, and trying. It can be so different also from one person to another. For some it can be through meditation, for others it can be through walking in nature and receiving some insights, for others it can be through breath work, like any possible way to come out of your head, of all of the overthinking, and just tune into your, yeah, I would say the true essence of your being, what's truly there when you let go of all the layers, when you let go of the masks, when you let go of everyone else's expectations. What's truly there? Can you answer this question? What do you truly want? And if you can't, that's fine. Of course, it takes time, but you will get the answers by tuning in. So yeah, I would say tune in order to get to know yourself better, in order to really feel what's aligned with you. And then once you found it, just pursue this dream and trust that everything is gonna unfold in the best way possible for you, if you have this trust and if you are doing something from your heart.
So beautiful. Oh, this was so nice. I want to talk to you forever, but tell us how we can find you because you teach breathwork online and we'll link it in the show notes. But how do we find you? Like, where can people find you?
I'm living in Lombok, the island next to Bali. So you can find me there. I'm teaching in different studios there, in-person classes. I also do breathworks there. But then I'm very aware that it's a long way to come to Bali, and I wanted to be able to offer breathwork and all these techniques that have changed my life so much with others wherever they are in the world. So that's why I've started to offer online sessions as well. Yeah, online group sessions or private sessions for breathwork. And you can find me and check all of my offerings on Instagram. In my bio, there is a link, and when you click on the link, you have all of the offerings.
Brilliant. We'll put your Instagram in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Charlotte. It's been such a pleasure to chat to you. And yeah, just keep going, keep spreading that light because I think what you have is such an important message. And I think there's a lot of people that need to hear it.
Thank you so much, Jess, for having me. I really love your podcast. I read the description of it. I was like, yeah, that's so true. Actually, there is no such thing as, helping people like to redefine their definition of success. So yeah, I think it's such a brilliant idea, and I'm sure this is gonna help so many people. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for listening today, and a huge thanks to Charlotte for sharing her incredible journey with us. Charlotte's story really highlights something so many of us struggle with: the courage to disappoint others in order to honour ourselves. Her honesty about being a recovering people pleaser and her journey from trying to explain her choices to simply showing people through her actions is wisdom we can all learn from. I was particularly moved by her redefinition of success as waking up excited every morning, feeling aligned with your purpose, and knowing you're contributing to something meaningful, to others. It's such a stark contrast to the traditional metrics of climbing ladders and earning more money. The biggest takeaway for me is Charlotte's advice to tune in. In a world where we're constantly seeking answers outside ourselves, she reminds us that the real wisdom comes from getting quiet enough to hear our own inner voice. You can find Charlotte teaching yoga and breathwork in Lombok, Indonesia, or join her online sessions. All the details are in her Instagram bio, which we'll link in the show notes. Thanks for the inspiration, Charlotte, and for showing us what it looks like to choose alignment over approval every single time.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and thank you for being a part of the first series of Successful AF. I can't believe we've reached the end of series 1. Over these past episodes, I've had the absolute privilege of speaking with 10 incredible guests who've shared their stories of redefining success on their own terms. Each conversation has been a masterclass in choosing authenticity over approval, purpose over profit, and alignment over everyone else's expectations. I'm deeply grateful to every single guest who has trusted me with their story and showed us what it really looks like to live successfully on your own terms. Their courage to step off the traditional roadmap and follow their path has been nothing short of inspiring. I'm also immensely grateful to you, our listeners. None of this would be possible without you. And so, for anyone who listens, I am immensely grateful, especially if you've ever sent me a note or a message about an episode, because I really do appreciate it. And I read everything that I get. Now, I'm taking a 2-week break from recording to recharge and reflect on everything we've learned together. When I return, Successful AF will be moving to a fortnightly schedule. That's every other week instead of weekly. This feels aligned with my own commitment to sustainable success and avoiding the burnout cycle that so many of us know all too well. It's a perfect example of practicing what we preach on this show, choosing well-being over hustle and trusting that less can actually be more when it's done with intention. During this break, I'd love to hear from you. If this series has resonated with you, drop me a line at successfulafpod@gmail.com. I'm always looking for inspirational people to join me when we return, so if you know someone who's redefining success in their own unique way, nominate them or yourself. Please do like and subscribe wherever you're listening. It really helps the show reach more people who need to hear these conversations. And remember, success isn't about ticking everyone else's boxes. It's about waking up excited for your day, feeling aligned with your purpose, and having the courage to disappoint others in order to honour yourself. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in 2 weeks for the start of Series 2.